Excellent. All right, folks, real quick, Board Member Hudson is not here today, so I will be chairing the committee and will be doing my best not to make any mistakes. So at that, seeing that we do have a quorum, I would ask the treasurer to call roll.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Ms. Zeranin?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson? Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Peretti?
Here.
Mr. Stewart?
All right,
Four, yes.
We do have a quorum. A few housekeeping items. We're going to approve briefly the April 14th and 26th minutes. If folks could look at those real quick. And I'd like to have a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any of those not in favor? Perfect. All right. Real quick, we're going to go over the monthly financial report and then move into item 4, our online checkbook options discussion, and that'll sort of conclude it for today.
Quickly, just can we make a quick?
We did 14 and
Oh.
we did them all at once.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
sorry.
Can we make a quick amendment to the minutes? If I do recall, Mr. Stewart did show at the last meeting. He just came a little late,
He did?
but he was there. He was present at the last meeting.
All right. So make a motion.
April
to-
26th.
That is true. Or it's on here. He arrived at 4:19.
4:19.
There's two sets of minutes.
Right, I've got two sets of minutes here. One on April 14th.
And 1 to 26.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Good?
All right. I will
Cool.
send it over then to our treasurer to begin our conversation on the monthly financial report. Dan?
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. This is a review of the April 2016 monthly financial report. I've attempted to abbreviate it somewhat, but this will be exactly what I share with the board this coming Tuesday evening. So far this year in revenues, we're at $733.7 million, about $25 million ahead of plan. On expenditures at $669 million, running about $7.6 million under plan, and cash balances are ahead as a result of that. Looking at the variances that are important, things that have changed since last month, the biggest change here was in the property tax allocation, which is the rollback, and that simply came in April. We had it scheduled for May because it was mirroring the behavior of last year, and last year, as you recall, the tax settlements were delayed because of that computer issue. So this will work itself out next month. That should go away. All of the revenues, that's where we receive some of the payments in lieu of taxes, hard to predict. It's running ahead of the plan. I don't know that it'll stay at that much over plan by the end of the year, but that's the explanation there, kind of an unpredictable number from year to year. Other than that, nothing substantially different on the revenue side since last month. On the expenditure side, 3 items that I'll highlight. First, you can see that charter schools, that difference dropped $4.2 million. In other words, it's moving closer to plan, as I've said all along it would. And I'll show you that graphically here in a minute. But that's as a result, again, of that plan being based upon last year's behavior, which is not indicative of this year's behavior. In supplies and materials, I'll have some further graphs on this as well. That has to do with that warehousing account that's in there where there are pluses and minuses. I did not smooth that out in the plan. Quite frankly, I didn't know about it, and it caused this aberration. And I'll show you some things where if it's smoothed out, you get a similar but slightly different picture. That will work itself out by the end of the year. And the other objects is strictly a timing. It remains from last month. And again, that has to do with the settlement and those fees coming in March rather than in May. That'll work itself out in May. When I look at that one line, or when I look at supplies overall, you can see here that the plan in the red line was really distorted relative to what was going on last year because of that in and out of that warehousing line. And what I've done is, when I go back and rather than forecasting this plan based upon individual line items, I do it at the macro level for all supplies. it truly smooths out that projection to, again, mirror what was going on last year. And if I look at that in terms of variances to plan versus the original plan and then the revised plan, you can see the green line here. It shows a steady under plan movement, not this erratic movement over time. So that's a better picture of where we are. Notice that they both end up with the same year-to-date variance by the end of June because they're spreading month to month the same projected amount.
Right.
It's just that month to month, it was just out of whack.
Right.
So we're under plan. It's not gonna, shouldn't gyrate like that, and I promise you that I'll fix that in next year's month-to-month plan. When we look at the school choice options, charter schools, STEM, scholarship, those that we code to objects 478 and 479, this is an update of the graph I've been sharing with you. And you can see that the blue line, that variance has dropped. It is projected to continue to drop, but with the April number 2 payment, the annual amount jumped by $1 million. So last month we thought we were going to come in about $1.7 million over plan. Now using that number will be $2.7 million. It's up $1 million. Again, we'll cover that over the appropriation or over the budget through other budgetary lines because, for instance, personnel is running under. So we can shuffle that appropriation without having to go back to the board and move it. Actually, if we took it out of, what do we do, personnel and then non-personnel?
by OPM.
We'll find it non-personnel so we don't have to come back to the board and make a change. But
We'll have to make a change one way or another.
Okay. Scott
come
will
back.
take care of that. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
But it won't be an increase. How about that?
There you go.
Correct.
There's a good one. All right? And then this is simply what we get in what we call the SFPR, the School Foundation Payment Report. And I track that every month. And you can see that, like I said, last month we were coming about 1.6, 1.7 over our plan or our appropriation. And now it's jumped to 165.87 million. And that's 2.7 million over plan. This is where, this is the month-to-month flow and my projection for May and June. And you can see here that supply line really distorted May and June's projection. And the red line is where I believe it'll come in. This is all in line then on an annual basis with the projection I've made for the end of the year that I presented a couple of meetings ago. Yes, sir.
Is that, that $1 million jump you spoke of, is that indicative of our loss of students and the increase of charter school students? What can we say this is indicative of?
It's indicative of a change in enrollment as far as I know. And they report that enrollment all the time. And I don't know whether it's because they just reported it or because it just got cleared as being verified as our students. Because they report it, and I believe that gets held until we say, yeah, those they really live within our district. So we can hold that, and then as we release that information, I've not looked into that in terms of is it timing, because we've been waiting to release it, or did they just report students? But it has to do with enrollment. The amount per pupil is not changing at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And in more than just a nutshell, that's all the excitement I have for April.
You just keep going.
Dan.
That was, I think, a world record.
That's good.
Do we have any
It's been working.
additional
there.
comments?
And good stuff.
Any other additional comments from members?
No.
Just a quick tidbit.
Cool.
Myself and President Baker worked together to finalize the last set of names on the millage committee. I'm expecting that list will be released forthcoming very shortly. So,
Well, thank you for the update. Appreciate that. Great. All right. Do we, real quick, and this is out of fashion, so I apologize, do we usually make a motion to approve this and send it up to the board as a report? Kind of remembering the procedure.
I don't think so. I think, yeah, ours is not binding, so
Okay.
he just reviews.
Perfect. Let's move on to item 4 then.
Okay. Item 4 is hopefully the last in a series of discussions about this online checkbook concept where public entities put on the internet their checkbook, if you will, their expenditures, and some have even done revenues, but to put this financial information out on the internet. The Treasurer of State's office, this was an initiative of theirs, of his. I don't know how which pronoun you use, but we'll say it's the initiative of the office. And they provided this service free of charge, that we can upload data into their basic layout of information. And I don't know what the count is, but we have 2 representatives from the office. Would you introduce yourselves, just so everybody knows who you are?
Sure. My name is Eric Achmanik. I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff of the office. This is Frank Kostal.
Deputy Director of Public Affairs. Our department runs the checkbook program on a day-to-day basis. So we have over 300
There we go.
folks online, another 300 that are committed, so they're going to do it. As you saw, we just announced 4 pilot universities, as well as the pension funds will be coming online soon. So City of Columbus, Franklin County is online as well. So
Fantastic. Thanks for coming.
So that's one option we've been looking at. We actually have loaded a couple of years of data, Mike?
Yes.
We've loaded a couple of years of data that we've been able to look to see how it, and it looks magically just like everybody else's data out there in terms of the layout, the format, and what you can do with it. It's you give them the data and it shows up. I don't know how else to explain that. The other option is with our ERP provider, Tyler, through the Munis product. They have a whole a transparency effort as well. And we have, we didn't really have to provide our data to them because they have our data already. So we made the linkage to their transparency option. We've tweaked that a bit over the past couple of months. And that's also available and ready to go. Both of these pretty much will, if you are all in favor of what I'm going to recommend, we could flip the switch as soon as probably June 1st and get that data live and available to the public.
We were targeting July 1.
Okay, July 1. I always have to set the bar high to support, all the people that work on this. So I want June 1, but we'll go with July 1.
Well, fiscal year makes sense.
So my recommendation last time really wasn't a recommendation, and that may have not given you a straw man to shoot down or support, because I had said last time I could do either or both. I'm at the point now that what I recommend to the committee is that we pursue, because we want to do some, let me tell you this, we want to do some enhancements over the basic free option. And that's going to cost money in either format. As we priced it out, Tyler was the less expensive of the options. And I think that the interface with Tyler is we don't do anything. It's seamless. I hate that word. Usually when somebody says it's seamless, nothing is ever seamless, but this interface is seamless. While with the Treasurer of State's option, it's not horribly complicated, but it does involve us creating a file and uploading it. So my recommendation to the committee is to pursue the Tyler option full speed ahead, and that at your option, if you want to do the state's site, I can do that as well, but that we would not update that as frequently as we do the Tyler one, which would be bi-weekly. We'd simply upload data on an annual basis so that it would be available. The enhanced version would be Tyler. We'll put revenue out there as well. We already have revenue out there. And we've done some work with changing descriptors. I think as I described to you last time, the way this engine works is to use the accounting chart of accounts and the descriptors that are in the chart of accounts. And that is great for 3 of us over here who have the chart of accounts memorized. Some of it is not as straightforward for the casual user. In order to make it, I think, more user-friendly, you need to do some enhancements. Get away from some of the numbers, get more of the verbiage out there. Like I was just saying to some of you before the meeting, if you want to select general fund, not Fund 001. Yes, sir.
This question is more to these gentlemen. do you guys expect at any point in time to be making enhancements to your product?
Sure. We've traveled all around the state. I've been to Proctorville and Ironton this week. This morning we announced an entity in Delaware County. And everywhere we go, we hear ideas and improvements to the site. So we're always collecting those. We're working with our office. We're working with our data platform to take those ideas and enhance and do a 2.0 of the checkbook. So everything from showing revenues, everything from having even more improved search options, more filtering. We take all that in and we try to do our best so that next year when we do our improvements, we enhance it to what local governments want to have and also want to use to be able to show information better. So.
And we've had 2 updates already. Before, it would in the bar graph, you'd only have 1 fiscal year. You're now able to click into that year and actually see a monthly view, as well as now we have what we call saved views. So essentially it's an FAQ that on the side. You can hang as many questions as you want. You know, what do we spend the most money on? What is our transportation costs? What is our per pupil expenditure rate? Any saved views, you're able to click there, and then it's going to jump right into your checkbook, and you're able to see it. So those are 2 updates that we've had within the last 3 months. As Eric said, we always receive that feedback from local governments, push it on to our technology partners, OpenGov, and they work on it.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Provided that my mindset is that this is whether it's our side or theirs, it's a grow as you go type of situation. And to me, I think that outside of our own systems of financial transparency, us adopting this piece enhances that opportunity for the public to be able to look at our information and disseminate it. But I much more prefer to grow as they grow with them with regard to this. It just makes, for me, it just makes sense. That's kind of where I am with that. Would you say, though, with regard to the July date, this is my question out to you. Is this something that we should now present to our last June board meeting, or do you want to kind of roll this out in August?
I would run it by the board. I really haven't thought about running it by the board at this point.
Yeah, I mean, them doing a brief presentation to us, you're talking about.
We could do it. We could do it at any of the June board meetings. I'd rather. I want to move forward, so the faster we move, the better. However we present it to the board. Yes.
I very much support what you said. So Tyler, it will be a bi-weekly data upload, but the annual update on the treasurer's site meets what I was looking for. So that way, if somebody does go there, they're still seeing information about us, you know, and updating it annually that's great. So I very much support what you brought forward.
What's weekly? Oh.
I should have let Mike do
Weekly?
this presentation.
Okay.
Tyler
will be weekly,
Weekly updated weekly.
and state will be annual.
What sort of,
We can do state at whatever frequency.
Right, but-
What my preference was the one that I'm going to work with mostly is the one that houses our data.
Yes.
And do the enhancements that we really want to drive in the time frame that we want to drive them with our Tyler product. And that would have the weekly update, which we don't do anything, we just say update weekly and they grab our data. With the state, we can upload, they'll take the upload whenever we give it to you, right?
When you call, we answer the phone.
Yeah,
It's
so we could
true.
upload it, but my point was if we just go with their, whatever the enhancements they do under the free option, if we post there, we post annually, and it would be there.
I think that's great.
do you have any other comments?
Can I ask, the enhancements you guys just described, those are all to the free option?
Correct.
So you're rolling more into the free
Yeah.
option as opposed to, when I talked to OpenGov, we looked at their enhanced product, which I had to pay for. Oh, not me, but we would have to pay for it. Okay, so you're putting more enhancements on the free part. Good.
And if I may, they're not mutually exclusive. If you go with the Tyler Transparency Portal and pay it and show them the revenue and you purchase that software, you can absolutely do the checkbook for free as well. That
Yeah.
way you're on the same platform as Franklin County and the City of Columbus. That way it's in the same format as the other communities in Central High. So I just want to let you know that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my recommendation.
Will, real quick, and this is to stand into to some of your folks, the frequency, will there be any sort of having information that's old out there, could that be damaging to have old info as to how schools change so frequently? I mean, how much work does it take for your people on the ground to pull out a report and get it to them? Does it cost us any additional individuals? I mean, what does that look like on the ground level? Is it hitting a key on the computer?
Well, you also have to look at it after it uploads, and that's,
You gotta verify.
I mean, is
make
it
sure
something that's
right.
fairly simple to do that people do in their?
My preference is as I look through the Tyler thing, I'm trying to develop something that makes sense to everybody.
Mhm.
To be honest, and I'm no slam on the state's site. When I go there, I work with this stuff every day, and it doesn't. The current version I have out there that I'm working with for us doesn't make much sense to me. It's very much technical jargon, where I am creating this on the Tyler format that I like it. I mean, it means things to me. And looking at it from not the controller for the district, but just someone looking at financial data and say, oh, taxes, miscellaneous revenue. I mean, it's just.
What about those sort of comments? How do you respond to that?
Sure. I mean, I went to Rio Grande. It's not Rio Grande, it's Rio Grande, by the way. I went to the school board meeting of Gallagher County Schools. It's called Patriot Schools. That's where we're from. But they had the same question. What information are we showing? I've not seen their program. I don't want to speak about their program. But we've incorporated on our side a search option that we do have keywords. So if you wanted to find taxes. So for example, last night we launched City of Gahanna's website. And just randomly, the mayor there asked for what's on our checkbook now. We typed in fireworks, and so they showed all the costs for all their fireworks for the 4th of July parade. So I'm not sure about what they have, but I can tell you that if it's a keyword in your checkbook, if it's either an expense type, an expense category, a vendor, it's in your checkbook, and you can use a search option. Just type in the letters like you would on your phone or on your laptop, and you can find it right away.
but they're ledger
ledgers.
labels, so that's what they're saying, that line 100 isn't gonna mean anything to the public.
No, it does. So we ask for the fund code and then the fund description. So it doesn't just show general fund 100. It's going to show general fund. It's all the way the account's set up. So we built the Ohio Checkbook program to be accurate for each individual government's finances. We didn't want to take your guys' chart of accounts and have to change the descriptors or roll it up to the state level. It's going to accurately reflect how you guys describe your accounts and how your accounts are set up. It's just a way of how you break down the visualizations. So you can start at the fund level and then go through your departments. Schools, it's different. It's funds, functions, and objects. That's what makes it a little bit more clunkier, because school accounting principles aren't like Franklin County or the city.
Right.
And that's a little bit of the education process on it. One of my major goals is getting local governments to put some kind of descriptors on their webpage. Hey, here's our checkbook. We have a financial transparency portal. This is how it works. This is how our account structure is. It's pretty easy once you get into it, and we teach folks that. But absolutely, I understand exactly what they're saying. But we do have processes in place so folks can go online and use it and find the information that they're looking for.
The other thing that you mentioned, verification of data, and we're finding that this product, as we ask questions, and we'll find areas that there might be inconsistent or display oddly, and it causes us to then drill down into that data and do some analytics. In that line, we know that Tyler and Mike just went to a conference and saw this in real time. They're, I don't know whether you call it partnering with or utilizing, but it's Microsoft Business Analytics, and it is a pretty powerful analytic tool that allows us to take different pictures and slices through that database and present it in that that buzzword now, dashboard formatting. And as we move forward with that, we're going to use this internally. Mike's convinced that I can do my monthly financials this way rather than exporting to Excel and manipulating it that way. So again, we're real impressed with where we can go with the Tyler product, and that's because they are our ERP provider. That we don't have to do as much, we believe, data integrity checking. If we do it on an annual basis up to the state site, I don't know that old data is a big deal. We can all, somebody calls up and says, well, listen, we'd really like to see you through December. Why don't you upload the December stuff? Okay, we could stop and do that. How much time it takes, I don't know whether we're probably talking a couple of hours
Right.
as opposed to zero. So it's not a big deal. I wouldn't want to do it monthly, quite frankly. If you wanted to do it every 6 months as a midway, that'd be great. I think annually is fine, at least for now, until we see how it's being used and which site gets more activity. But in either case, I still stand by my original recommendation.
Even though I'm not a member and don't have a vote
Feel
on
free
the
to-
committee, I like Stan's recommendation. I spent some time, once I had the links, to look at it from the perspective of a user in the community. And I think that's primarily who this is being put out there for, is to show transparency, and I'm a big fan of that. I spent some time on Franklin County, since I have a little bit of acquaintance with their budget, and since they appeared on both Tyler and the state treasurer's sites.
Okay.
So I could kind of, compare things, and I really liked what I was able to do and see on the Tyler site better, including some descriptions and things like that. I think that's really important, that we don't use just fund numbers, that we do call things what they are and try to provide as much common sense description as possible. So, for whatever it's worth.
I think we all do agree moving forward with Tyler, since it will require more work. But still on the table is, though, the option to do the free version, to kind of maybe start that. I've seen some people sort of nodding in favor of that. My only concern, and I'll just be completely honest, is this subject that we deal with causes more confusion in the community than I've ever seen before in anything else I've ever done. School finance, 5-year forecasts, annual budgets, levies, bonds, everything associated with how we fund what we do in this institution. And my only concern is things looking different, people drawing different conclusions. I do like the idea that it's free. I do like the idea that we're covering our bases and it allows people to compare. But what does that mean? If we have questions about what people are seeing when they look at schools, don't other school districts probably share the same concerns? And are those areas that this will be changing, especially for the free version? If we're expressing concerns of what people are observing when they look at the open checkbook, are these things that are going to be addressed so that it does sort of match up what we're trying to do here at Tyler?
So is your question, is it going to bring increased scrutiny?
No, my question is, I'm concerned about people looking at the two and drawing two different conclusions about the financial phase.
It's possible, and that's why I brought up the point that they're not mutually exclusive, that if you did purchase the Tyler Transparency Portal, you can also do it on a checkbook. It's not one or the other, you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question for Stan. And we met, a year ago in our initial conversations, and I knew you were looking between the Tyler Transparency Portal. You're also interested in purchasing the software from OpenGov, who we use as our tech partner, but we provide the checkbook for free. They have additional services for increased costs. And then you work kind of more with OpenGov on building out the sites. And this is more of like the data export question. When you sent in the files to develop kind of the demo site, how did you run those files? Did they help you create any kind of like database query or any kind of SQL query database where to help you pull those out kind of more automatic, or is it a more manual extraction where you just ran 3 or 4 reports and sent them into OpenGov and then they cut them up and load them up? That was the process.
Yes.
Okay, so we have other Tyler Munis users, most notably Franklin County and multiple other counties in the city of North Royalton, who they write their database queries. It's just some code that helps pull in the data much more easily. A few hours of creating that code saves you a bunch of time on the back end to run your update files. So that's an option down the road. So just to let the administration know, we work every day as hard as we can, so this isn't laborsome or burdensome on finance directors and fiscal officers across the state. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So that's one option. And I had another question. So you said you went on Franklin County's site for
That's where my wife works.
For the Munis Transparency Portal that they purchased? Because I know the commissioners had purchased that, correct?
Yes,
And they already have a live site?
I believe so.
They
Yes.
do?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that just for the Jobs and Family Services?
No,
Full county.
That's the full
countywide.
county?
Yeah.
Okay, I have not seen that. Okay, I was just wondering. Yeah, I haven't seen it on a live site, so I'm excited to check it out. Because, look, we're all for transparency. That's why we're doing this program.
It's fine.
So,
Of course.
I mean,
Let's just do it.
one way or another, I think it's great. So,
All right, I think we should probably then move ahead.
Well, assuming that we do it the way Stan's recommending at this point, which is the weekly live updates on Tyler,
Tyler.
but perhaps annually on the free side, will it be clearly labeled that this is data as of a certain date?
Yes.
That-
Needs to.
And that
Yes.
it's not updated?
Yes.
Comparable to apples, yeah.
Well, in fact, what will happen
Yeah.
is, as I'm thinking this through, so we go to the board in June, and hopefully has a reasonably short discussion that they trust the decision of the finance committee, and we can pick a launch date. And I would probably say that we look at maybe an August 1 date for the Treasurer State site so that we can put the 16 data up.
Okay.
And then it'll be live as of, and we'll have, I think, 14, 15, 16 up at the state?
14 and 15 and half of 16 is already out there in the test site.
So we'll just bring up the rest, and so we could have 14, 15, 16 up there. And then on Tyler's, it's going to be all the way back to 13? Is that right?
Right, you could upload 13 for state treasurer's website too if you wanted.
See? We're back to that point where we can do whatever you want to do. We just need to pick one. So I think that.
Let's move, I think we should move ahead with your recommendation to
Me
go
too.
ahead with Tyler and then do the free version on an annual
Yes.
basis as of now.
Yeah, and I'll try to make that present. Now, I'm assuming you want me to run this by the full board, let them know that we're going. There are certain members that don't like surprises. They don't want to get a phone call that says, hey, I saw your data online, and they didn't even know we were going online.
Can I ask just one question?
Yes.
The cost to do the Tyler app,
17 a year,
17,000?
yes. 4,000 set up, one time.
You don't have to board it. Sorry.
That's why we're saying,
17,000?
Just thinking of our procurement.
Not have to
We
board
just did.
17,000.
well,
We should.
25,000.
20, yeah.
Anything 25,000 or over, but I think it's still helpful.
Oh, I'll bring it, but
to the
I
board.
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't require board action. Doesn't. I don't.
No, not that amount, no.
I think we should have a presentation on it, though.
Yeah.
I think so as well.
Yes.
That's what we just, Shh, JC, be quiet.
All right.
And the fact
I'll
that
bring
you
it.
said it will help with some of the things that right now you're exporting into a spreadsheet, it
Utility
provides a tool.
All right, well then let's move ahead then with Treasurer Bohorik's recommendation and move ahead with the Tyler full spectrum and then as well the free version of the Treasurer's as well. Everyone all right with that?
And your time-
Let's recommend that to move to the board then?
It's July 1st.
All right.
July 1st for Tyler, and I'll think about, because I'd like to, if we wait till 16's ready, maybe August 1 for the treasurer's site.
All right.
Yeah, whatever works for you guys.
All right, then, I'd make a motion then, that we recommend Treasurer Pecorick's recommendations to move ahead with the Tyler Munis system, full spectrum, as well as the free version of Open Checkbook provided by the treasurer's office.
I second it.
Can I add an amendment to that
Okay.
motion?
Sure. I mean, sure. I don't know what else, I mean, if we just, it's gotta
That's
be.
what it is,
We're
yeah.
not, I mean, it's not, it still has to go to the board, but.
I know, good. I just want to make sure that there's a presentation provided to the board before your timeline launch. So we are
I think
looking
we're
at-
just recommending.
Yeah, we're just recommending this to
Yeah,
go
oh,
to the
yeah,
board.
yeah.
And I'm just recommending that.
I heard that loud and clear.
Got you.
You'll see me in June.
Excellent.
If I could sneak it on the next board agenda, I would, but I suspect that that's not appropriate. But I'll get it on probably the first meeting in June.
Okay.
All right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Treasurer Bogard?
Mr. Cole,
Yep.
Ms. Zaranen,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Peretti,
Yes.
and we're good.
And Mr. Robinson.
Oh, Mr. Robinson is here. My bad.
All right.
I wasn't here earlier.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now,
I was
let's-
looking at my list of present and absent. My apologies.
All right, that is the agenda. Do we have any other items that we need to discuss, future business? In light of Mary Jo not being here today, I think we'll reconvene internally and email members of some what's going on with the next meetings. Kind of want to calibrate everything that's going on with the annual budget and all those sort of processes as well. I need to get caught up on all that. Seems like it's always something that's changing or to some degree. So do we have any other comments for the committee? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer Pecorick? We could just do all those in
All
favor, say
aye.
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 Thank you. We're adjourned.
Wow. 45-minute meeting.
It's great.
That was great. All right, thank you.
So do we have a next
You
date?
gotta run all these.